Well, hello and welcome to the Dive In. I'm your host, Kathleen, and today we have Akash.
Hello, once again, all the people listening. Zero and Blaze are here with me. You'll see them running in and out, but good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And to continue on with our journey through coffee through the States, today we're drinking Crucible coffee from Stanton, Virginia. If you don't know where Stanton, Virginia is, neither did I till I was there. But it's like 45 minutes away from Charlottesville. It's very good though.
All right. I am drinking generic store-bought coffee. So I'm doing
i
I'm doing
I'm
great.
keeping it up. I'm keeping it up. Don't
Yes.
worry.
Yes. You got to start sending me some of the coffee so I can
I
join.
can do that. I can do that. Yeah, sure.
Um, all right. Well, today we're going to talk about the movie This Means War. It is a 2012 film. hmm
Yep, no,
Um,
you're right. It's 2012 when naming conventions made no fucking sense.
Yes, I mean, I kept calling it Spy versus Spy, but that was just what was on the poster apparently, and not the
Yeah,
actual title of the movie. Um,
they had Spy versus Spy, and then it's
mhm.
Spy against Spy.
Yes, yeah. So I think for whatever reason, I just misremembered it. It has been over 12 years since I've seen this film, but it's a really fun film. It's like a rom-com action with Reese Witherspoon, Tom Hardy, and Chris Pine. And they did a really good
All-star
job.
cast.
Yeah,
All-star
all star.
cast.
I mean, Angela Bassett was in it, which was insane, and Chelsea Handler, just random all star back in the day when anyone did rom-coms because
Yeah,
they were the thing to do.
she was I totally forget. She was the friend, right? She wasn't the
Chelsea Handler.
mom. She wasn't a mom, right? She was the friend.
Well, Chelsea Handler was a mom.
No, no, I mean in the movie. Her name was Trish. Trish in the movie. I forget if Trish was the mom of Reese Witherspoon or the friend. I think it's the
Uh, I
friend.
thought the friend's name was Lauren. Hold on.
No, Reese
No, Reese
Witherspoon's
Witherspoon
name
is
was
Lauren. Yes, Trish is
yes.
the friend. You are
Trish is
right.
the friend. Because sometimes Chelsea Handler's the mom in a lot of these. Like she's the fun mom.
Yeah.
But in this she was just the fun friend who was like he was like yeah you could do this.
Yes.
I think my favorite
She's
line
like, you
was
have to
like
do it for all women.
oh my God. Yeah, there was a line I think it was Reese Witherspoon saying she's oh man, I'm think I'm going to hell for like going on dates with two guys and I'm like
Oh,
you just dated. That's just dating. You haven't made this official with either one. You're allowed to go on a first I think she went on like before the movie starts maybe like one or two dates with each of them. Like it wasn't anything crazy, right?
yeah, no, she'd only been on a few dates with them, but I think it comes from the fact that it's a different time. I will give it that. It was still back in it was 2012. So it's still everything in the movies is still very PC,
We were
more
dumb
towards the
teenagers.
Christian side. It was a PG-13 movie. I mean, they try to make it wholesome, and because it was rated PG-13, I think the audience age range was younger, and so they were like, "Oh, if you go on a couple dates, then you gotta decide who you want to choose."
I think it worked. I think it came
Yeah,
across as a pretty fun, wholesome. I don't think there was
yeah,
anything in this movie that was like, "Oh no, this is bad." Well,
yeah. There was nothing in it that I would say, and none of it aged poorly. Like it aged
if
very
a
well.
13-year-old watched this movie, it would be acceptable.
Yeah,
It's one of those things. Like if a 13-year-old watched this movie, it would be totally acceptable without
yeah,
any issues, really. I do
agreed.
think it was funny because well, how did you feel about the guys? Well, we can talk about Reese Witherspoon in a second. How did you feel about the two characters? Not specifically as like each individually, but did you feel like they were both kind of tropes of common male stereotype characters in a sense?
Yeah, I think and I read this that it was supposed to be so what I read was that the character Lauren or Reese Witherspoon's character was cast first. They always knew that they wanted her, but as far as the two guys, they cast them based on tropes of the kind of like young not I don't want to use the term playboy type, but like he essentially was who just what hasn't matured yet, and then also the rugged like rough guy. So those were
That
definitely
works.
yeah.
Like Chris Pine and Tom Hardy as those characters work, but they were those stereotypical tropes where it's like
Yes.
guy trying to move on and still find love,
Mhm.
guy that wasn't trying to find love but thinks he might be. Like it was very much. And 2012, it made sense. It was
Yeah.
right after the 90s and the early 2000s when we did have a lot of rom-coms, and the main
Yeah.
characters kind of did fall into those two tropes for the most part. Playboy guy with a heart of gold, guy trying to figure out love because he's been burned before.
Yeah. And, yeah, I do kinda wish that they had played more into, what was Tom Hardy's character's name?
Tuck.
Tuck. I wish they had played more into Tuck's, backstory about him still being in love with I guess this was a lighthearted rom-com, PG-13 rom-com, so I'm not probably asking for too much, uh but to play a little bit more into him still having feelings for his ex, because it was kind of like he kind of asked them out to go out as a family. She's like, "Oh, I have a date." And then we see her again at the end, and now that she knows he's a spy, she's like, "Okay, yeah, we can go we can go out as a family." Um,
It's I think they leaned into like just don't lie to me, and it's like he's a spy, man. What do
y
you mean?
yeah, it is a little it's a little bit of a gray area, and I get if I was the one who was in the dark, I'd be like, "Why are you" like, you wouldn't know why they're lying to you, and that's shady. Um,
It is. I understand the characters they're going after. It's
yeah.
very interesting that what I found was that they made these characters so different, and then they
Mhm,
had them act the exact same
mhm,
for a good chunk of the movie. And that's why I agree with you. I think if they had brought the ex-wife in a bit more and
mhm.
made us feel this, instead, I think she's only in like 3 or 4 scenes.
If that,
3 or 4 scenes.
if
And so it's one of
that.
those like they get back together, but it's like I don't think there was a full character arc that we there. I feel sorry. Let me rephrase. I think there could have been more to the character arc,
Yeah.
but also this movie's not long.
No, it's only an hour and a half, and I honestly wouldn't want it to be they could have had, like, 10, maybe 15 more minutes of scenes, and I would have
Yeah,
been okay,
but they
but,
could have also like cut the montages. Is the term I'll use?
yeah.
The montage. If they
I
cut like
enjoyed
a.
the montages though, because I was kind of I like it when like comedy movies do a little bit of montages, like, oh, we're
Mhm.
gonna do the getting back at each other, especially if they're repeating it, they're using consistency throughout the film. Because there were several times where they're getting back at each other. So, and then we'd have scenes in between those montages. So I enjoyed the fact that they did multiple montages. I think they're entertaining, and I think that it keeps a consistency throughout the film.
I thought the montages worked for sure, and I thought they were funny. Don't get me wrong. The montages were funny, and they were
Yeah.
doing similar things to each other. Like they were messing up the dates and stuff like that, but they were doing it in creative and fun ways.
Yeah.
As far as spies go, like don't do this in
Yeah.
real life. Exclaimer: don't shoot your friends with trank darts from a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
Because I
Uh,
was trying to do the math of that. That would not have just stuck in his neck. That would have hurt.
yeah.
Like, also good shot.
I mean, yeah, I would hope he's a good shot considering he's a spy. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed a lot of the as far as the montages go, I thought they were really well done. I think one of the very first ones was when they were both kind of going through the same house at the same time, but neither one knew that they were both in Lauren's house, and Lauren also had no clue they were in there, which some of their hiding spots were a little too obvious, like behind the couch as she's walking past the couch.
I think it's funny is like they both had wiretaps,
Yes.
wiretaps on her, and they were listening separately. But when they're listening together, it's hilarious because there's a scene where Trish and Lauren are talking on the phone,
Mhm.
and Lauren goes, "Yeah, FDR has these tiny little girl hands or like T-Rex hands." And so Trish is like the female like, oh gross, why would you. And
Mhm.
like I think Tuck is laughing. Tuck's like crying at this point basically, but
Yeah.
Tom Hardy's just laughing his butt off. And I think Trish says he's got like a tic tac or something for a penis. and whatnot.
Oh, well, yeah, because
And
you know what they say about small hands. Yeah.
I did not know. I didn't know that. I just I just
Yeah.
watched this
It's the
movie.
same
No,
thing. It's the same thing about feet. Yeah. The size of the foot
none of
determines
that makes sense.
it's
And
that's
so
it's always been a thing.
I would never. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't know these things, and so like men don't talk about this, and so like Tuck's laughing, and I think Chris Pine's character. I think Chris Pine's character's name was FDR,
Yes.
which
Well,
is so funny.
his first name was Franklin, so I'm assuming that's just a nickname.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he goes, no, that's not true. You've seen it. And he goes to Tuck, you've seen it. You've seen it in Bangladesh. You know it's not true. And I'm just like, that's the most male conversation. But also, what the heck happened in Bangladesh?
I don't know. They don't seem to be very good spies, so
They're the number
who
one
knows?
spies. They're the number one spy team in this universe. They have a bad guy looking for them, which didn't need to be a character arc, didn't need to be a thing. But like they're like, it's an action movie, gotta bring the bad guy. Even
Well,
though both of them are the protagonist and antagonist to each other.
but I think that I enjoyed that though. I think it made it was just like a fun, like witty way to have that where they're both like you're rooting for one or the other. I clearly cannot form sentences today, but
Who are you rooting for? Who are
oh,
you rooting
well,
for?
I already as you know, I already saw this movie, so I knew who ended up with who, but I was Team Tom Hardy. I'm the British accent.
I
Got
knew
me.
I was about to be like, were you Team Tom Hardy? So you're Team Tom Hardy. You weren't actually rooting for Tuck. You were rooting for Tom Hardy.
Yes, yes, it's true. I will
This is
say
the
this
second
though.
movie with Tom Hardy we've talked about though.
Yeah, yeah. What's funny is I was gonna comment that every single movie that I see Tom Hardy in, his voice sounds different every single time.
I mean, he's playing a character.
I understand that, but it's just I don't know if I just haven't seen enough Tom Hardy movies, but I'm like, what is his actual like was this his actual voice? Or did he put on a voice for this one?
There is a. I think we can talk about Tom Hardy specifically here for a second. And
Yes.
Tom Hardy is a fantastic actor. Like
Yes.
he has played. I've seen quite a lot of Tom Hardy movies, but he's been in quite a lot of movies. If you look
Yeah.
at movies straight out of England that don't all the time come to America, he's in quite a lot of movies, and they are wonderful. I think he says that his idol, in one of the interviews, he talks about how he loves Gary Oldman. Like
Mm.
loves Gary Oldman, and honestly, a lot of us love Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman's one of the greatest actors in modern times. Like Hugh Jackman's even like in live TV been telling people about like Gary Oldman's amazing. And yeah, so it's Tom Hardy. He's older now, but he grew up when Gary Oldman was in a lot of stuff. And if you've seen Gary Oldman movies, his accent changes slightly in all of his
Mm.
roles. Like he sounds, I mean, obviously, when he's in the Batman trilogy, like he's got an American accent, but like he does all of these things, and I think Tom Hardy is a very good actor because when you see him, you know it's Tom Hardy, but
Yeah.
you never, there's not a character where you're like, oh, that's just Tom Hardy. Every one of these
Being
characters
Tom.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, because even in the Venom movies, he's got an American accent, of course, completely different than this movie, than Mad Max, than
Yeah.
Legend, than I forget the movie where he plays twins, which is amazing as well. We should.
Oh,
I haven't seen the movie. I've only seen clips of the movie, but we should watch that movie.
okay.
Don't know what it's called though, so clearly don't know.
No,
And
I like that point though. Like, because it's so the thing about acting is you're supposed to transform yourself into somebody else, someone that
oh
you
yeah,
would not normally be. And nowadays, it's all about how can you be yourself in every single film to keep drawing people in. And I just I
I have no
don't
desire
love
for
that.
that. I
Yeah,
don't. I
I
have
don't
no desire
either.
for that. I don't get me wrong. There are certain film series and things like that
Mhm.
where it's fun to watch when it's still like that. But I don't consider those as like high class cinema. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying high class cinema in the sense of it needs a massive budget. It needs this. If there is an actor that can draw you in and do something like
Yeah.
that, in the same way like improv people can do that, I think
Hmm.
that's what's important. And when I look at a movie, I'm not trying to relate the actor
Hmm.
themselves to another movie. I want to see this movie, like Dave Patel and Monkey Man that we had talked about. He's been in a lot of things. I don't. I didn't see any other characters in that. I just saw
Mhm.
Dev Patel's character as the kid. I just saw that. And that's kind of what this movie does as well. And this movie is nowhere near as serious as any of that. I would say that there is a almost no serious tone in this movie until like the
No.
end.
If you can
Like,
even say that, yeah.
I mean, the end would be the climax, but like
Yeah.
this movie, it needed to end. Like it needed an ending, so it needed to have the climax. However, overall, this was just a fun watch. Like
Yeah.
you were just having like you're sitting on your couch, you're having a good time watching this movie.
Yeah. I think it's funny that you mentioned that that like it didn't really need like the villain and everything with the action in it because it was originally supposed to be an action movie and they added in the romance part, but
What?
clearly it enveloped it and became
Yeah.
more on the rom-com side. How do you think, okay, so if we took out the main villain Heinrich, how would you think that, or how would you want the movie to go?
I think if we got rid of Heinrich,
Hmm.
honestly, I think it would have had to get a little bit more serious towards the end about the romance. I think it would have
Hmm.
had to go into either these two guys. Okay, so it could have branched off in two ways. It could have gone way more action or way
Yeah.
more romance. And I think if it went way more
Mm.
action, it would have been like live ammo of these two guys. And we
Yeah.
already got them fighting in a restaurant, which you're a professional spy. That is not how this works. Both of you are getting demerits. And then or you could go the hardcore romance where they're like, all right, boys, like we're gonna take her out on a
Yeah.
date, no messing around. Each of us does it seriously, and then we would have had to these guys be full seriousness because even on the dates with her, they weren't being. They were still. It was still humorous dates. Tom Hardy gets shot in in the genitals with a paint.
Oh my gosh. Okay, but this
I
scene,
I laughed so much. I was like, oh, and then I was laughing.
yeah, but that scene just in general though, because what did what did Lauren say? She said something like he seemed like he was too nice of a guy. And so she took him or he took her paintballing and just demolished all these children who clearly just they were like, dude, it's just a game, it's just a game. And they're all hiding in a house and he throws in like a paint grenade. They're
Where
like,
did he get a paint
boy,
grenade? I didn't know. I've gone paintballing. I've not used a
it's
paint
a
grenade.
spy tool. I don't know. I also like that even though it was 2012, they kind of had like slightly futuristic devices. Like even Lauren's job, the things that she was promoting seemed more futuristic than what we even have just in reality now, 12 years later. So I enjoyed that because that's something about like like you look at like Men in Black and other spy movies that they're supposed to have like higher technology that we don't
Mhm.
know about. And yeah, so that's probably it was paint grenade was probably something one of his minions did for him.
That's the best way to describe it. It like literally there are people in this movie. There are teams of people helping them with this. And the fact of the matter is, like they told people like, no, this is important. This is like,
Yeah,
and it's like,
it's
at what
class.
point did it not go up the ladder? And they're like, are one of these guys betraying the company? Like, what's going on? Is that why they're under surveillance? Or why these? And I'm calling them minions because they didn't have a mind for themselves.
No.
And I'm just like, one of these guys is in charge of these two. Like these people see these guys.
Yeah. I for some reason was kind of hoping that they would get in trouble at some point. Like Angela Bassett's character would come in and be like, what the hell is happening? Like you guys
I
need to
love
straighten
Angela
up.
Bassett, by the way. She was
Yes.
so like she wasn't in the movie that long.
No.
So good though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she's amazing. And
Her name was Collins, I think.
Collins, it must be the last name. But yeah, I thought for sure her character was going to come in and like they were going to get caught being children, putting these two like using their resources and get like suspended or something, and then they would come across Heinrich or something who found them. I thought something along those lines would happen, and
It's and they could have
yeah.
gone a lot more serious with Heinrich. Like Heinrich
Oh
could have
yeah.
like come in and like taken over the branch instead of like what he was doing. Like he could have like straight up just murked people. Like they could have killed Collins with Heinrich or something
Oh
like that.
yeah.
They could have gone oh and well they kept it even with the seriousness they kept it pretty lighthearted. And
Hmm.
then at the end with Reese Witherspoon Lauren choosing I was like, I think they did that very well. I thought it made it come across in a proper manner. I have no idea why she chose the way she did, though. There was no like back thought. We never like. There was always a pros and cons list, like freaking How I Met Your Mother and Ted Mosby are hitting.
I got more of as far as like Lauren's character goes. Yeah, that sounds right.
That works. That works.
That works. I felt she gave me Ben Stiller and Along Came Polly kind of vibes. Have you seen that film?
Yeah, I can understand what you mean by that. It seemed. I feel like Lauren was less decisive than that, though.
Well, his whole thing was in Along Came Polly was that he had to be safe with every single one of his choices, and so he always made the list. But he was so enveloped in his work, and I feel like that's how her character was. She was so enveloped in her work, and her work was about making lists and having people tell her the pros and cons of things. And we literally
That's
got to
fair.
a point where she had to make a pro and con list between the two men.
I thought in Ben Stiller's it was a lot more like rigid with that, whereas
Yeah,
Lauren was less rigid with that. Where like that's how I think they wanted Lauren to come across, but I
yeah.
thought she came across as a lot less decisive in even her work. Like in her work,
Mm.
like she would make those lists and she would have to decide. Like her job is to decide upon these things that are presented to her.
Yeah.
And then but when it came to her private life, instead of being the same person in that, she was a
Mm.
lot less decisive. And
Mm.
that's I think why we had Trish as a character to
Yeah.
bounce certain. And Trish was the more direct, um, live life crazily, kind of like live life, blah blah blah. And I believe one of her lines was, "Don't choose the better guy, choose the guy that's gonna make you the better girl." Trish said that.
Mm.
Chelsea Handler said that
Such a
early
good
on in the
line.
movie.
Yeah. It was such a good line too, because like the whole time you're kind of like, oh, she's just living vicariously through her, like wanting her to, like sleep with both of them because they're hot. And she literally even said like do this for all the women who have sex like once a week on Wednesday at 9 p.m. Like,
But she also does like
but
the opposite because I wrote this down. Lauren
yeah,
says, "I'm going out, I'm dating, I'm having fun," and
yeah.
then Trish goes, which is so out of left field for this character. I thought, "You date, but you're not taking it seriously," and I
Mm.
think that put into perspective Lauren because like this was like a good chunk into the movie when they say this. I think.
No, I
I
think
don't,
I think that was at the beginning. And the only reason why I say that is because I do specifically remember that line because
I don't have the timestamps written here. I just
I
like wrote down what I saw.
I I very much related to that line. Um
Did it cut too deep? Did the action rom com cut too
well,
deep right there?
it's not that I don't maybe I take dating too seriously. I don't know. I go on a date and I'm just like, nah, I didn't feel it. I'm just gonna cut like be done with that. And I don't know. I kind of like I
Oh
heard that and
man.
I was like, maybe I need to like be a little bit more serious in like how I date and choosing people and make trying to make it work more. And I feel like maybe at least my perspective, I'm like, what is it called where I'm projecting onto Lauren's character. And I just assumed like, oh, she must be like going out, but she's not like going on second dates because like she's just like, whatever, I'm busy with work. Uh
That's
so
I'm so sorry. I didn't realize it cut so hard.
no, like I said, I'm probably just projecting onto the character. I'm just
I mean,
putting it
hey,
out there in the world.
at least you're not projecting onto the Yoko line.
I tried to, so I'm uncultured. And I tried to Google to understand what that line meant. I have no clue what she meant by that.
Yoko broke up the Beatles.
Okay. Okay.
That's the
That's
reference they
the
were making.
reference. Got it. Wow. I am very uncultured. I hope no one hates me for saying
I, I mean, I don't
or for not knowing that.
like. Don't get me wrong. Beatles were big in music and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
they were also before you were alive.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I think it's okay. I mean, I've seen not a lot of movies, so that's why I'm doing this. I'm like I get to watch new movies because of this. But like it's really funny because they do all this. They make all of these crazy statements, and like then random quotables are dropped by even the main characters. Like Chris Pine's character goes, I don't believe in mistakes. It's the mistakes that make us who we are. And I'm like, damn, son. I was like, what? I was like, all right. Like, I didn't expect that from you, man. But
So
fair enough.
going back to the projecting part, so I went on
What did you do?
oh no, I went on a date recently and like
Okay.
the guy asked me, he was like, so if you could go back in time and change anything, what would you do? And I was like, nothing. Because I'm so happy where I am, even though I like messed up a million times, I would hate not to be here. And so when I
That's
heard that,
fair.
I was like, yeah, no, I feel that. Like, yeah, heck yeah.
You
Like
were like, yeah,
mistakes
yeah,
are
I'm Chris Pine. Yeah.
yes, I'm the single eligible bachelor with a pool above my head right now. You
Oh
just
my
can't see
God.
it.
Dude, I was like, what is this man like spies? I didn't know spies get paid like in this universe. I'd be a
No,
spy. You're making money, man.
I know. I'm kind of like, I don't think they ever showed us Tuck's place. Did they? I don't think they did.
I don't remember Tuck's place. Everything's fine. I don't remember Tuck's place, but I do remember. I hope they're not barking too loud. I don't
No.
remember Tuck's place, but like he's gotta pay child support.
I know. But it can't be.
His kid was cute.
Oh my gosh, his kid was hilarious. I love when they first introduced his son and they're at the karate studio and his son is like losing and he's trying to give him advice and he's like, "What would you know, Dad? You're just a travel agent."
I loved when I think the kid's name was Joe, and
Yes.
so literally like when they're watching TV and he's like, "Mom, is that Dad?" And I'm just like, the delivery was perfect.
Yeah.
The delivery was absolutely perfect. I was so happy with that. And then we did get to see Franklin's parents, grandparents.
Yes. I think it was I'm assuming it was his grandmother.
Yeah, and I'm like, damn.
Which
I mean,
that
that was hardcore.
Aunt May over there.
Yes. Oh my God, she
Yeah.
was.
She was Aunt May.
I didn't know that until this very moment.
Oh no,
Yeah,
I
because
sat there and I was like, that's Aunt May. That's Aunt May. That's and then I'm like Googling it. I'm like, yes, that is Aunt May.
that's amazing. I had no idea about
Yeah.
that. Yeah, her
It's
Rosemary Harris.
yes,
Rosemary Harris.
for those listening and cannot who cannot see my background, I like Spider-Man. Um,
Those of
so
you listening that can't see us, it's just naked Spider-Man art.
no, that is not
They
what's there. That is
you
not.
can't they can't I can't be proven wrong. They're just listening. They can't
You,
see.
you can prove them wrong by going and watching it on YouTube. Because there is no naked anything. I mean, they could maybe they're naked under their
I
suits,
assume so. I
but
assume he has underwear.
I
I would
would hope
assume.
so. I don't know.
I think it depends.
I'm not a guy. Is it more comfortable?
There is a comic scene where Spider-Man literally has to web up his private parts to not be flashing anyone.
I love that. I love
He's
that
got
so
his
much.
mask. He's got a mask and webs making like briefs.
I love that. I have to look that up now.
It's hilarious. It is. I forget what comic run it's in. I'm sorry, nerds. I don't remember the exact comic run or the quotes. I believe it. I believe it was after Doc Ock was removed from his body and he had to go talk to the Avengers and be like, "Help." But I can't quote me on that. I don't know. I don't remember. I've read too many comic books to know every single one.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna look that one up though. That sounds wonderful.
If I find it, I'll send it to you. But no, it
Okay.
was like I think maybe the fact that Franklin had his grandparents meet Lauren, maybe that was the tipping
Hmm.
point as to why Lauren was more important
I
or Franklin was more important to Lauren.
I think well, I think part of it was she related a little bit more to Franklin. And she also opened up more with him than she had with her ex, as we saw.
Mm-hmm.
And he opened up like he challenged her enough to open up as well. So she could see the changes that he was making just for her, like the effort. And I
Yeah.
think with Tuck, it, even though this is why I wish they had included like his ex-wife a little bit more, I feel like he still had that feeling and that love for his family.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was kind of just assumed off screen that like that he was more reserved and held back his feelings more probably because he still had feelings for Katie.
I also
And
think that
so
Tuck was much more into his job because he made sure
mm,
that there was a work-life separation, but he did it in the wrong way in the past. And whereas he was just lying, but he's a spy. That's what he had to do.
I mean, you
Whereas,
could say you work in the government.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
He could have said there's a lot of things he could have done.
Yes.
However, it worked out in the end. My camera's
Agree.
trying to unfocus. There we go. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Did we do it?
Um, it's
Boom.
better. It's better. There you go. Yeah, yeah.
There we go. Cool.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
Cool. 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 Don't know why it does that.
Mm,
But no, it was well done. I think you're right. I didn't look into it that deeply with it because I was just having a good time watching it. So, but talking about it, I see what you mean. I do think there was more of a connection between Lauren and Franklin
mhm.
due to that, and I think that's why they introduced the ex-wife because
Yeah.
that way it showed that Tuck, not that he had a backup. I don't want to use the term backup, but like he had a
No.
different route. He like what Tuck actually wanted was to
Yeah.
be with his kid, which makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think he never it seemed obviously they ended on good terms and they showed from the very beginning that he still wanted to make something work. We don't know why they broke up officially. Like I'm assuming it's because he was lying and she's like, "You're the only travel agent that I know that travels for work." So I'm sure there was
Which is a good
some
cover. That was a good
yeah.
cover. Like that's a good cover.
But like they never seemed hostile towards each other. So I think they had feelings and it was just probably him not telling the truth is the assumption that I'm making. Because
Also,
once
these characters aren't that old. I think they were like
yeah,
early to mid 30s.
I think so. Yeah. So yeah, about my age.
Like they're not that old. Like they were
Yeah.
all like top of their fields kind of thing.
Yeah. Uh
I do I do think it's hilarious like being the travel agent thing because it was like it's brought up more than once because when they're in like Hong Kong,
mhm.
they actually mention like Franklin goes, "Yeah, my friend here's a kick-ass travel agent." Or something
Yeah.
along those lines.
Yeah.
So it's like that they kept that going through the whole movie.
I let yeah, they were very committed to their bits, which is that's a good spy there. Like they knew who they were and what they wanted to do. But yeah, the very big opening scene, we have Chris Pine, and he's just like, "Yeah, I'm a cruise director," and she's like, "Oh, can I come aboard?" Like
Yep.
they had that stuff ready to go. Those quick quips. Um,
And they did good with it. The humor in this movie was not based upon the time of the movie. Like this movie
mhm.
by itself is totally fine. The
Yeah.
humor in it still works. Like you said, like
Yes.
it's lasted. There are some movies where humor can change over time, like
Hmm.
through society and such like that. But the jokes in this are solid. I didn't think
Yes.
there was not nothing really that was like super misogynistic or super
Yeah.
feminazi or anything like that. It was like here's a movie,
Yep.
girl going on casual dates with
Yeah.
two guys accidentally are spies. Also, what the heck was Lauren doing? What was Lauren doing that she somehow started dating two spies that were like knew each other?
Well, I mean, they clearly lived in the similar vicinity, and he was probably just like hanging. You know how girls, we always have like a backup plan when we go on a first date. Like we always have someone on standby to give us a call, meet up with us for a drink after to like to be a way out. So I'm curious if like this was one of Tuck's like first date. And so I wonder if FDR was just like on retainer, hanging out nearby, just in case something went wrong. He's there. He's ready for Tuck. Because they were pretty close.
Also, men, these two so quickly like, all right, these are the ground rules. This is what we're gonna do. We're not gonna do
Mhm.
this or that, and then they proceed to get in each other's way right away.
Yes.
Like there was no break from that. There wasn't like they went on a date and it was fine. No, it's like right away. Like literally at one point, Chuck like notices a camera and he's flipping him off, and they go, "Is he giving me the bird? Is he giving us the bird? What's this about?"
Oh yeah. No, he said, is he giving the bird?
That's what it was. I was like, something bird and bird, and so like they did really good with all of that. Like
Mhm.
the time of each one of their dates and scenes in the montage to like mess with each other, like it
Yeah.
worked. Like it was
Yeah.
like individually messing with each other, team messing with each other, and it's stuff like that. I thought they
Yeah.
did really well there, which I guess this brings us to the climax of Lauren choosing and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And they did really good. Where like throughout the whole kind of action sequence,
Yeah.
there was a lot of back and forth, Lauren with this person, with that person, and then
Yeah.
at the end, like it could have gone either way, and like the viewer would have been like, "Oh, okay," but it was like literally like what, a car explosion?
So, just to like back up a little, like we had the character Heinrich, who is like the actual like spies villain that is
Mm-hmm.
after them now. Like they were after him, now he's after them because they know who he is, or because he knows who they are. And he it starts like actually, I think Tuck is the one, or no, I'm sorry. FDR sees that Heinrich was tailing Tuck's date. And so Lauren had asked to meet with Tuck, and FDR crashes it. And he's like, "Hey, you need to listen to me. Like Heinrich's on his way." And he's like, "Okay, you're just messing with me again. Like she chose me. She's choosing me right now. She's gonna tell me that now." And Lauren goes like freaks out because she's like, "Oh, like these two guys are in the same room together, and they're just now gonna learn that I'm dating both of them. Like this is a lot." So she goes to the bathroom, and while she's in the bathroom, just doing her thing, like trying to talk herself up to go back out there, they just have an all-out brawl because they just can't accept that, like they like
That is taking this long.
yeah, well, it did take her a long time because they like they cleared out the entire restaurant and they battled
It
each
was
other.
crazy. I'm
And then
like, you're.
she comes out unfazed about the entire surroundings because it's destroyed. They're beat up, and she just walks out and she's like, "Wait, you guys know each other?" And then
Yeah.
just
Oh my
storms
god.
off.
I was like, I forgot how completely like nonchalantly too. It's like, you guys know each other. It's like, that's what you got from this.
Yeah, I know she was
And
so
then
upset.
she was upset. Like, what? I mean, fair, but they did like her. But
Yeah,
vice versa, you know.
yeah,
Should have been a mutual walk away.
agreed. But also, she clearly has a lack of surroundings because they broke into her house and were like literally right next to her that one time. And now she comes out of the bathroom. The restaurant is completely destroyed. They're disheveled and like bleeding, and she just doesn't care. She's like, "Oh my gosh, y'all are terrible people," and just walks away. No questions asked.
I that like right after that, leading into all of this,
Yeah.
um, I don't really need to talk about the action sequence because it's just a fun, like, well, it's
It's
well done. The
it's
choreography was good.
yeah, it's a well done car chase.
It's like car chase plus fighting, which great. I don't think any car chase is going to live up to Mad Max Fury Road anymore. Like I just like I just don't think I don't think so. But it was like well done,
Yeah.
and the effects were well taken care of. Like
Yeah.
explosions, shots, all that.
Mhm.
Girl going back and forth. She gets over all of this very quickly. By the way, she gets over them. They know each other very quickly,
Yes.
and her life was on the line. And then at the end, after like we get the car chase, we get big explosion fizzles, and
Mhm.
Lauren is with Franklin.
Yes. Yeah.
We're far enough in the podcast. I can say that now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I think like Heinrich goes off the edge or something, and then
Yeah,
or
I don't care about Heinrich. Heinrich
yeah.
didn't matter. Heinrich was secondary.
I honestly, part of me didn't follow that entire story. I was like, is he the brother of, was there
Who
multiple
cares?
Heinrichs? I don't know.
Heinrich didn't matter. And so
She
Franklin
she made
and
her she had to make a choice. Otherwise, she would have been blown off the edge of the
yeah,
unfinished highway.
and we're supposed to assume that okay, she liked Franklin more. She felt safer with Franklin. Cool.
Yeah.
And Tuck honestly handles it pretty well.
Yeah.
Like
No,
he's
he's
like
okay with it.
chests out about it. He's like, I understand, and like
Yeah.
instantly goes back with his ex-wife, and it's all fine, totally fine now.
Well, now his ex-wife knows that he's a spy, and she's like, "Oh, this is why you lied to me all this time.
It sounds
So
like the
we're
whole
good."
world. It sounds like the whole world knows that there's someone now. They were on the news, and so we get that, and then we get probably one of the funniest endings I've seen in a while. Like they're on a job, they're about to dive out of a plane,
Yes.
and Franklin goes, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, I met your wife before you had, and blah blah. And we had hooked up and whatnot." And
Oh, no, no, because he was telling him that him and Lauren were engaged.
mhm.
And so, yeah,
We have
and
no idea how much time was between that and this.
yeah, we don't know how much time has passed. And he was letting him know, like, "Oh, me and Lauren are engaged." And um FDR was just like, but you know what? It's okay that you slept with her in the past because I never told you this, but I met your wife before you did, and her and I slept together once.
It was once. And
Just
Tuck goes,
once.
"What? You slept with my wife?" And Franklin's like, "You never slept with Lauren?" He's like, "You slept with my wife," and just tackles him out of an airplane. Movie ends.
Yes,
Movie ends. And I'm just
it
like,
was great.
honestly, whiplash, but a great.
It was great. I
I,
Go ahead.
this is a fun movie, and I don't think there's anything in this movie where you're like, "Oh, I don't want to watch that part again." Like it was all good, and it was
Yeah.
good. It was good, clean, funny.
Yes. Good, clean, just rom-com action, just very tropey, but in a hilarious way that just worked. And they haven't made movies like this in a while. Like,
No. This was like a very good like, and I'm not. This was not a parody by any means. They
no.
leaned into certain tropes, but they also like knew it was on purpose to be funny,
Yeah. Yeah. No,
and it
I
was. I don't think there was any really jokes in here that didn't like land how they were meant to.
agreed. Yeah, I think everything landed well. I think this movie has aged well, and I think that I
Think
don't know.
that.
Yeah, I think that. And I think that
Good cast,
question
good
mark.
writing, good production,
Mhm.
good storylines,
Yeah.
and it was a complete story. There's not a sequel to this movie. Like this,
Yeah. We didn't
it
need
finished
anything
up.
else.
No,
Yeah.
everything was explained,
Yeah.
talked about, and completed
Yeah.
within this.
And one thing I liked about that, or I liked about this movie was, like I saw Anyone But You recently, which is a rom-com, and they have I, I was explaining to my friend that some
Oh,
of
this
the
is a new
scenes,
movie.
it is a new movie, yeah. And I explained to my friend that like some of the scenes are very over the top, and I feel like recently everyone like you look at like Fast and Furious, you look at like any action or rom-com, and everything's so over the top. And even though this was a spy movie, it still felt simple. Like
Mm-hmm.
there was no like super huge effects or huge car chases that we needed. Like it was very short. Those action scenes were short. They didn't do anything super crazy or unheard of when they were like spying on each other. It was just like simple surveillance. Like yeah, shooting one guy with a dart, like setting off some sprinklers. But it was very just simple things, and I
Everything
enjoyed
made
that.
sense.
Yeah, it
There was no
made a lot
like,
of sense.
there was nothing they showed that didn't do something.
Yeah.
Like everything was done.
Mhm.
None of the scenes really felt out of place.
Agreed.
Everything did something to lead to the next thing.
Mhm.
Obviously, everything was the fault of Lauren and these two men, including the ruining of multiple businesses,
Yeah. Yeah.
which not cool, guys. Not cool. Also, I hope they paid for that restaurant.
I hope they. You know what I was thinking about? Tish, her car. I was like, are they gonna cover her car? Because they just shot the wheels and it went flying into a pond.
We don't need to know. They didn't show it. We don't need to know.
They don't make Volkswagens anymore. I need to know.
Do they not?
They stop every like 10 years. They make them for a couple of years and then they stop and then they come out with them again and they're like, "Hey, we know it's been like 15 years. Here's some Volkswagen bugs again." I think
I
it's just
hate
the
the
bugs that they do that with.
I hate the Volkswagen bug. I hate that
When I
car.
was a kid, I wanted one, but as an adult, less so.
Yeah, it's just not. It's people are allowed to like them. They're allowed to do whatever.
Yeah.
Not my cup of tea. But no, overall, I think good movie.
Yeah.
On the would I buy it on DVD? I I wouldn't be opposed. I don't think I'm gonna
Yeah.
seek it out. But if someone gifted this movie to me on DVD, I'd keep it. Like it's
Yeah.
honestly a fun watch. I think you could revisit this movie every so often and just have
Mm,
a good time.
I
It's a
agree.
good date. It's a good date night movie.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah, it's just very it's so clean. I don't know. I don't even know how to it's just so clean. It's so wholesome in a fun way.
This movie is not on streaming, by the way, for the people watching. I had to rent it on Amazon or
Yeah.
buy it on Amazon and such like that. I do not know the company that produced it. I see the producer's name. I don't know the company that
I
produced it off the
I
top of
know
my head.
Will Smith was one of the producers on this movie.
What? Really?
Yeah, I saw his name. Let me hold on, let me double check before um but I'm like pretty sure that Will Smith was a producer on this.
And yeah, I can't see the company.
Yeah. Um This Means War is a 2012 American romantic comedy spy film directed by Mick G, produced by Will Smith.
Hmm,
Yeah,
good job, Will Smith.
that's from Wikipedia.
Yeah, it's part of his company. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't. So because of that, though, I just don't know what streaming service it's supposed to end up on. But I hope it comes to a streaming service that people like subscribe to, so more people can watch it because it
Yeah.
is a very fun watch.
I think it's a
Yeah.
great movie, and these actors have all like gone on to do amazing things. So I think
Oh
it
yeah.
would be something I would love for like younger generations to discover this movie. Because it, like I said, it's aged very well and it's very funny and just it's just a fun. Yeah, I don't even know. I keep saying the same thing over and over again because I don't know how else to describe it. It's a fun, clean, well-rounded movie.
I think after this, the only genre me and you have not watched together is like straight up drama.
Hmm. Ooh.
Simple Favor was like thriller comedy,
Yeah. Yeah, we've either leaned towards like, yeah, what have we done? We've done
action,
action, we've
comedy.
comedy, we've
This counts
done
as romance,
yeah, I guess. Yeah.
thriller,
Well, th-
horror.
this is like rom-com. There's romance and then there's rom-com.
Fair. So we still need full
Yes.
romance,
And
full
Alien is a
full drama.
monster movie, not a horror movie.
Okay. All right. All up. So we
So,
got we got we got three genres, three pure genres left,
yeah. Yeah.
and whatever other genres that people say. Like we haven't seen like just a full on comedy movie, but it's like most comedies have some other underlying stuff.
True. Unless there are a few that I can think of that are pretty funny, that are just straight up just stupid funny.
But if anyone if
Anyways.
anyone comments or reaches out for movies to watch, I've seen almost nothing. As I tell people, I'm seeing more things now.
Yeah. So thank you to everyone listening and or watching. If you like this, let it play on to the next one. Or listen to us next week. Have a good day.
Bye, guys.